Hey guys, Team Anti-Ragaki Alpha, and today I'm going to bring you a deck profile of my Fabled deck. Quickly just explain sort of how it works. It's more of a Ragin turbo deck, which if you don't know, it basically revolves around getting loads of quick synchros out, getting Ragin out for extra draw power, and then just synchroing and going for OTKs or just devastating moves in one turn. So yeah, I'll just get onto it quickly. I run... Yeah, sorry, I don't have a tripod for this camera, so this is going to be a little bit messy. I run triple Chawa. This is sort of like the combo starter of the deck. 1-star tuner, gets out my synchros, gets my drop effects off, helps me discard stuff. Overall, good card. Triple Fabled Cerebral. This is the 2-star tuner of the deck. I run through this guy just because I think 2-star tuner is really, really essential for certain big plays that this deck makes. So. Run that. Triple Fabled Ganassia. This is the 3-star non-tuner. Again, I think 3 of these is necessary because 3-star non-tuner is very key. Ganassia plus Cerebral is Ragin, which is obviously quite a big play. Ganassia plus Chara is Unicorn, and just the ability to use this as a beta as well, because if you get its effect off, it turns to an 1800. So in today's meta, that's a pretty good beat. Triple Fabled Grimro. This is the tutor of the deck. Helps me search through my deck to get the right Fabled out. Yeah, most of the time I'd normally search out with Charwar if I don't have that in hand, just because that gets all my discard effects off. But Grimro is just overall really helpful to get out the right levels I need for my synchros and whatnot. So, good card. I run 2 Fabled Cross. I only run 2 of this guy. I know a lot of people that run Fabled run 3. And I can sort of understand why, but I just hate opening with multiples of this card. I mean, 1 is bad enough because it sort of forces you to do early game synchros to get its effect off. It forces you to drop stuff to the grave that you don't really want to. So yeah, 2 seems good. I've never opened with 2, thank God, which would be a nightmare. But I mean, it's a very good card to draw into once you've started building up your graveyard. But I just don't like it early game, so I only run 2. I run 1 Fabled Larry. I used to run 2 of this guy, and ideally I'd like to run 2, but I don't want this deck to go above 40 really, just for consistency. I don't think this deck really works very well if you play above 40 cards. But yeah, it's a 1-star non-tuner. This plus Charwar is a 4-minute synchron, and it just helps to add a level to whatever synchros I need. And if I do need it, I mean, it's easily searchable with Grimro. I also run a Sangan, which can search out obviously as well, so I don't think 1 hurts the deck too much. Ideally I'd like to run 2, but there's not enough space really. So that's all the Fabled monsters I run. Let's go on to the rest of them. I run 3 Snipe Hunter. This card is so good in this deck, it really, really is. This is the card that sort of starts off most of my OTKs. I've got FTKs with this card. It's just overall really good. I have rolled badly with this card. Obviously that's the risk you run if you can start rolling 1s and 6s, but to be honest, the fact that this card can get as many discards off as you need is really, really helpful. And obviously clearing your opponent's field and attacking through for game is another key combo that this deck uses. So 3 of this guy I think is necessary. Now this guy, 3 Reborn Tengu. This card is ridiculous, it's broken as hell. I think any deck that synchro spams and doesn't mill, there's no reason why you shouldn't be running this at the moment. Just because it's going to get hit next ban list. I'm sorry, but just it will. It's too good. I mean, Mali was hit down to 2, and that wasn't nearly as good as Tengu, so... but yeah, in this deck, this card is really, really good. You can use it as... It's a really good first turn play, just because it can block off your opponent's plays, stall them for a bit, and obviously if you synchro, you just get another one and synchro with that. This plus Charwar is a Ragin, so... Just overall a ridiculously good card at the moment. 1 Morphing Jar. You run Fabled, you got to run Morphing Jar. Not much more I can say about that, apart from it does slow the deck down a little bit because you've got to set it and then flip it, but I mean, you're running Fabled, you need to run Morphing Jar, just for the fact that you get through your hand so quickly. Morphing Jar is essentially just 5 free cards, so... And also it's a good first turn play as well. If you set that, set all your back rows, and then if your opponent attacks into it at the end of the battle, at the end of the battle phase, you get loads of special summons off. So I run 1 Sangan, which searches out Snipe Hunter, which is a really key play as well, and it searches out all of the Fabled apart from Grimro. But yeah, the fact that this deck can special summon so easy, like with Chawa or whatever, and not use up the normal summon, makes this quite useful, because you can use this as your normal summon and then synchro with it and then get your search off and then carry on comboing. So, and obviously it's a good first turn play. You can just set it, your opponent attacks in, and you just get your setup cards that you need. And my final monster, Dandelion. Not many people were expecting me to run this in Fabled at all, but it's a really good discard outlet. I'd recommend you at least testing it. I really like it. Just for the fact that when you discard it, you get the 2 tokens. That's another way into Formula Synchron with Chawa. And it just adds 1 or 2 levels to the synchros that I want to go into. And you can use it as defense if you need to. So, that's the monster lineup. Quite a lot of monsters, but this deck, just the way it works with combos, you need to run a lot of monsters. So, yep, go on to the spells now. Staple 1, obviously. Staple 2 provides defense as well. Staple 3. Obviously, that is the most broken card for OTKs at the moment. In my opinion, it should have got banned with Heavy Storm and Cold Wave, but what can you do? I'm not running Dark Hole. I know it's quite a big thing to be missing out, but my reasoning for this is that this deck is quite tight for space. There are a lot of things that I'd like to put in, but I can't. And I need my opponent to have cards if I want to use Snipe or Bryanak to get discards off, so that's mainly why I don't run Dark Hole. And also I find if I'm top decking late game that, I mean, Dark Hole can blow up my opponent's field, but this deck doesn't have much else, so I'd much rather top deck into a combo card and at least get one or 2 synchros off that. So, another thing that people say, I'm running Dark World Lightnings instead of MSTs. Obviously I'm siding MSTs just because you kind of have to if you don't main them, but the reason I run this card is just because most of the back row removal that you'll need is in your turn, because that's when you're exploding, so you don't really need to be a quick play, and this is just another way to get your discards off as well, so I just think it's a very versatile card and good for this deck. But obviously, yeah, I can slide in MSTs against Gravekeepers or whatever, like 6 Sam if I need to, and I can slide these out for them. So, card destruction. I hope that goes without saying. This card is really good in this deck. You can drop your dead cards, drop your hand, and get loads of special summons off. And the good thing about this card as well is that all the effects resolve after everything's been discarded. So if you have this turn 1 with a Cross and another Fabled monster, you still get Cross's effect off because the effect resolves after all the monsters have hit the grave. So, but yeah, that's just a really versatile card. It's just really good in Fabled. Not much more I can say about that. I'm running 2 Pot of Avarices. In my older build, I used to run 3 without question, just because you get monsters to the grave so quickly. But this build's running Beckoning Light, which sort of makes up for it, and they can be dead at 3. I've started with 3 in my hand before, and I obviously lost, just because starting with 3 Avarice is terrible. So 2 seems fair enough. I like 2 with Beckoning Light, so. Then 1 for 1, this is sort of a tech I've put in. I really like this card. Not only is it an extra discard that I can get off, but it also allows me to go into Charwar if I haven't got a tuner, or Lurry if I do, for an extra level, so I just really like that card. Now, these as well. This is another tech of mine. I don't think I've seen another Fabled deck running this card, but Into the Void at 3. I really like this. This is essentially my upstart goblins. It really helps with consistency, and instead of giving my opponent life points, it means I can drop any cards that I couldn't get their discard effects off at the end of the turn. So another thing with this is it's actually a really good late game top deck. Just because I remember this one game I top decked this late game when my opponent had a Cyber Dragon on the field. And I played it, drew into a cross, and obviously if I'd have just drawn into the cross, I'd have had to set it, but because of this card, I just waited till my end phase, discarded my cross, got a Unicorn out, and then went for game after that, just because he couldn't get over it. So this card is actually really good. I don't know why more people don't run this in Fabled. It just really helps with consistency. And then my traps, I've been a bit dubious about this, to be honest, but my trap lineup is 2 Beckoning Light and Trap Stun. This used to be 3 Royal Decrees, just because back row really hurt this deck, but I just really like the Beckoning Lights. I'm not running Solemns just because it shuts down my Wyvern OTK straight away, and I don't want that at all. And to be honest, negating my opponent's normal summons and special summons, what this deck normally does, it can take 1 turn of damage unless I'm facing... Yeah, other OTK decks are big threats to this. If I can take 1 turn of damage, I can normally recover with another combo. I can get a snipe out and start destroying their setup or whatever, but yeah, I quite like this at the moment. Obviously Trap Stun sort of works as a second Giant Tree Nade to help me with OTKs. And Beckoning Light I just really like, because it's another way to discard, and it's sort of like another mini Avarice as well. And it's never as dead as Avarice either. You don't need a certain amount of creatures in your grave. So, but yeah, that's my deck. It's 40 cards, obviously, because I'm running Triple Into the Void. Stuff that I would change about the main. I'm still sort of debating the traps. I like this how it works at the moment, but I'm never really happy. If I'm not running Triple Decree, I'm never really happy unless I'm running Solemns. So, another card that I might want to put in the Fabled lineup is Kushano. I'm tempted. I'm just going to try and fit that in at the moment. But yeah, if I do change it, I'll probably post an updated profile. But yeah, I'll just quickly do the extra deck. Sorry, I'll get these out of the way. Quickly do my extra deck, because I know this video is becoming quite long already. Double Formula Synchron, +1s in between my synchros. Good card is good. 1 isn't really enough, to be honest, and 3 is overkill, so 2 seems good. Fabled Unicorn, my 4-star synchro. This card's effect is ridiculously gimmicky, but it forces your opponent to play carefully about how many cards they play, and it can sort of shut down their plays as well, which is quite useful. But mainly it's just the fact you need a 4-star tuner in this deck, and you can bring it back with Crush as well, which is quite good. Then Double Ragin. This card is amazing. It genuinely is. Gets me +2s out of nowhere. This card is really good. There's not much more I can say about that. I run 1 Allied Justice Catasta. I barely ever go into this, to be honest, but it's nice to have there just in case my opponent does have something that I can't get over, just because 5 is really easy to get into in this deck. This will be coming out for Librarian when it's released, so 1 Bryonac, staple, and also it's really good in this deck. Unlimited discards, and you're guaranteed bounces as well, whereas Snipe Hunter you can get bad rolls. Bryonac gets you the bounces you need. 1 Guy Knight, runs over Stardust, runs over Monarchs, and it's just a much more solid option. If I've got a clear field already, I don't need to go into Bryonac. 7 stars, Ancient Sacred Wyvern. This card is my OTK card of the deck, and it is broken as hell. Basically, if I've got a clear field and I'm attacking, if I can get this guy out, and other monsters which attack add up to 2,950 or more, I can go for games straight there. Like, that adds up to 8,000. Just because this card's ability is ridiculous. Obviously, if I take damage early on, Wyvern OTK is out of the picture, which is why I don't like running Solemns. But yeah, Black Rose Dragon, staple. I can explode, and also I'm running Dandelion, so I can use its second effect if I need to. I also run 1 Scrap Archfiend, just for the fact that if I do take early damage, I'd rather go into a beta than go into a Black Rose unless I absolutely have to. 8 star is currently Stardust Dragon, but I'm going to be taking that out for a Red Dragon Archfiend when it gets here. Just for the fact I don't normally go into an 8 star, but because of Wyvern OTK, I'd much rather be able to go into a 3000 and go for game if I need to, and its effect helps as well. So Trishula, my favourite synchro card in the entire deck. I absolutely love this card. It's really good. The amount of turn 1 Trishas I've got are just so many. 9 stars is really easy for this deck. I run 1 Mistworm. If I did have a second Trish, I really wouldn't put it in over Mistworm, just for the fact that late game, if I'm going for an OTK, removing 3 cards from my opponent's field is much more helpful than just removing 1. And finally, Fabled Leviathan. Yeah, once I've got a Trish or a Mistworm out, and they've done their effect, they're just sort of sitting there as a beat stick. I'd much rather have the option, if I have a Chara in hand, of just sinking into a Leviathan, having a 3000 beta, and if they do get over it, then I can just get 3 Fabled back. So yeah guys, that's my deck. If you have any constructive criticism, just comment. If you have any questions about the deck, just comment. If I do change it, I'll probably post an updated one. But yeah, this deck is just really, really fun to play. Really, really like it. Really explosive. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe.